Hello and welcome to another episode of From the Helm, live here at the ASX Small and Mid-Cap Conference for 2024. I'm Grady Wulff, Market Analyst with Bell Direct. Next up, we have Botanix Pharmaceuticals, a dermatology company based in Philadelphia, who are working on progressing their leading product, which is Sofdra in the US, and it has FDA approval. To join me today to discuss everything about the company and how they're progressing in the US and around the world, I'm joined by the CEO of the company, Dr. Howie McKibbon. Dr. Howie, thank you for joining me today. For our investors who may not know anything about Botanix Pharmaceuticals, please run us through, give us an overview of what the company is up to.
You bet. Excited to be here. So Botanix was founded in 2016 by Matt Callahan and listed on the ASX at that time. We're focused on dermatology or skin conditions, and our lead compound, Sofdra, was developed for excessive sweating or a condition called hyperhidrosis, specifically axillary or underarm hyperhidrosis. Now, this condition affects 10 million patients in the United States, leaving quite an opportunity for us to help the patients, but also hit profitability in what we believe will be a pretty efficient time period.
Hitting profitability is what all investors want to hear, but getting FDA approval is a massive milestone. How is that process? And tell us about the product Sofdra in general and what it's used to treat in a global addressable market.
You bet. And I'm told there aren't that many products coming out of Australia that have gone through all phases and hit commercialization.
It is very difficult.
So we're excited to be at this stage. So, as you know, you have to go through a phase 1 PK study.
Very expensive as well.
It is. Phase 2 moves to a larger patient number.
Yep.
Where you're looking at safety, but also efficacy. And then the phase 3 are the largest and most riskiest, where they're the most expensive, and you have to hit statistical significance. Post that, you have to go through your NDA submission process, and that itself is quite a endeavor.
It's a tedious process, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. So we're excited at this point to be here and have the drug approved and really be focused on the launch.
How big is the global addressable market, and are you going to expand into other regions of the world?
Yeah, first and foremost, our focus is clear on the U.S. because those 10 million patients offer quite an opportunity. If you think of getting just a couple 100,000 of those patients with 12 prescriptions a year, the drug becomes quite large in itself.
Absolutely.
But we are we're well aware of the global opportunity. We will be looking for partners in those areas so they can offer our drug to patients in other countries.
Are there any competitors in the space yet?
It's interesting. These patients have had to suffer through not having a lot of options.
Well, Botox was just one, right?
It was.
That's all you know of, really.
Not a bad option when you think about it, but they have to start with clinical strength, over-the-counter antiperspirants, which we all probably use anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. From there, they move to reformulated versions of drugs made for other things, and then they finally get to Botox. Now, Botox works pretty well. Has similar efficacy, I believe, or we believe, to what Sofdra has. The difference is because you have 30 needle sticks in each underarm.
Ow.
Over half the patients that are offered the treatment refuse it.
Yeah.
Now, that said, they still do about $200 million US in sales a year, and they don't even promote it.
So Botanix has no debt and really good cash flow and cash balance as well. Financial strength is what investors look for in the market and for different investment opportunities. How do you control costs, especially in the late stage of the trials that you had to get through?
Yeah, we were very efficient the entire time. So we made sure that we hired individuals that could do multiple things. We call them 5-tool players.
Many hats.
Many hats, better said. But that said, we made sure along the way to be as efficient as possible and really focus on a couple of things, right? So during the development stages, every first dollar went toward making sure that the drug got approved. Right? Now it's every dollar goes toward making sure the drug is manufactured and that we demand generate appropriately.
Yeah.
And that's how we see it. Each of our resources has to go toward adding value to the company.
Yeah.
And that's the question everyone at Botanix asks themselves every day.
That's what investors love to hear. Now, what does the next 12 months look like for Botanix Pharmaceuticals?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. So, what, I may even go a little longer than 12 because I think by the end of the next calendar year, we're going to really have a good idea of what this drug could be.
Yeah.
So we know what it can be on face value. So between now and the end of the year, we'll roll out the patient experience program and make an offering to over 1 million patients.
Wow.
Right. And the hope there is that as they come on board, their refills will continue. And we're going to make sure that can happen because our pharmacy partner automatically sends the refills at the end of each month.
Wow.
Right? So on January, the sales force will come in and we'll have our launch meeting. They will start targeting those 4,500 dermatologists out in the marketplace.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, we'll roll out our digital campaign. And by June, or the end of that fiscal year, we'll have a really good idea of how to optimize our promotional mix. And then by the end of the year, we'll know what the trajectories are. So I think it's reasonable that by the end of the fiscal year to have a good idea of what's happening. By the end of that calendar year, to really have a great understanding of the potential of Sofdra.
And Sofdra as well, you did mention that there's repeat infills from the pharmaceutical, from the company itself. So that obviously generates annual recurring revenue, which is obviously a very positive thing for a company like this.
Yeah, it's a chronic condition.
Yeah.
What's fortunate for the patients is that it does seem to continue to work over time.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that they can get it over time.
Doing amazing things. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for joining us on that episode of From the Helm. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to the Bell Direct YouTube channel.